and welcome to Nerducators. I am Chandler.
I'm Russell. And I have some facts that I want to tell you, some statistics that I found. As of 2022, the field of education for K-12 teachers is the number one burnt out career. Over 500,000 fewer educators are in public schools classrooms than pre-pandemic. 55% of educators K-12 nationwide report plans to leave the field of education early. 44% of public schools posted vacancies, meaning there's teachers who are not in classrooms.
And that's 44% of schools in California or schools in
nationwide.
Nationwide. Okay.
30% of teachers as of 2021 are chronically absent, meaning they missed 10 or more days in a school year. 75% of teachers K-12 nationwide report additional work, meaning they had to do additional work to cover teacher shortages. 80% of teachers report increased student behavior. From 2018 to 2022, there were 750 school shootings, and veteran teachers with over 15 years of experience are more likely to leave the classroom than new teachers.
That just gave me some chills. And I saw some TikTok. I saw a TikTok recently of a veteran teacher just doing just that. Yeah.
It's happening a lot.
It is.
We're going to get into it. But first.
First, though, what's going on with you personally that is awesome? This is our check-in. Let's see. No sound.
Yeah, pretend there was a sound
there. There was a sound there. I forgot to turn it back up.
Awesome. I get a round of applause before I say anything.
Yeah.
So on the way over here, my wife called and she had talked to our realtor, and it sounds like there's a little thing we got to work out basically, but that we're going to close this house.
Okay, now I can do the applause. And
yeah. Yeah. It sounds like it sounds like we're going to get essentially kind of what we talked about with what we were looking for getting the roof fixed. And yeah, in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be moving. So like, keep your truck ready, get ready to come over and load some boxes.
Do I look like a lesbian that has a truck?
Well, I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
Honestly, though,
I got a kid that's got a truck, though.
Well, somebody said, because I have a truck, and I realized I'm no longer the age where I move an entire house, and neither are my friends.
I know.
Like, so all of you guys who normally would have been on the list, like my brother, Bags, here's your mention in episode 4.
Yeah.
All of those people where you're like pizza and a 6-pack of beer and we'll move this house, you're off the hook. You're welcome to come hang out and whatever and watch like big giant 25-year-olds move us. But yeah, I'm done throwing my back out with that. But.
Yeah, it's really funny. Like, people, they sometimes they look at me and they're like, oh yeah, so like the whole like, she's got to be somebody that's great at moving. No. Don't let this boyish charm fool you. I'm really good at helping pack and organize. I'm not the person to help. I've never been the like pizza and beer, call me over person.
Yeah.
I've always been the like, well, can I help you with something else? Twirling the imaginary strands of hair.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm a little prissy. Let's see. So that's really awesome news.
Yeah, we're very excited.
Oh, I'm so excited. It's like I've been watching this like slow crawl for a while, and we got to have some kind of celebration for you when it's all
and it
said and done.
Buying a house is a roller coaster. Like you fall in love with something and then it's gone off the market the next day. And then you fall in love with another thing, and every step of the way, there's just this like, everything's kind of in limbo and you're not sure when things are going to happen, and then you're waiting on somebody else and whenever they can get paperwork done, and like it's a lot.
Yeah. So almost there.
Yeah. How about you?
Me, I'm back on my bike again. So I had this like terrible plantar fasciitis. The doctor put me in a boot. I don't think he should have put me in a boot because then that messed up my hip and my leg, and if you know me, you know I love riding my bike.
Mhm.
And so during this break, I finally, maybe a little bit before the break, I was finally starting to get back on it. But last week was the first time that I did like a 15-mile ride, and I did not like have the aches in my leg that I had before. I was to the point where I was like, I might not be able to like ride my bike the way I
Mhm.
used to, because one of my goals is I want to do 50 miles, and then I want to do a ride to like San Francisco or back, or I want to do something that's really big
Mhm.
on my bike before.
I've done a ride to San Francisco and back.
Really?
Yeah.
What was that like? Tell me all about it.
You get in the car and somebody drives you there, and
I
you
saw that
you
look
ride.
on your face. I saw that look on your face. I
Yeah,
was like,
I've done
tell
it
me
a
about it.
whole bunch of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I want to do it on a bicycle.
Yeah.
Maybe San Francisco is not the first place to go because the hills are like
That'd be tough.
killer.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Going through American Canyon.
unless it was all downhill.
Go through American Canyon up into Vallejo
I know
and
it's
all.
too. Okay, I'll do that. You're gonna follow beside me. You're gonna follow beside me, and I'm gonna go down the hills, and then when it's time to go up a really steep
Throw it in the back of the
hill-
truck.
No, we're gonna tie the bike to the back of your truck, and then you can bring me up the hill.
So we're going with the safety options.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Safety first.
Yeah, yeah.
They call me Safety Sam.
Yeah.
Safety Chan. Safety Chan.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. That's what
I
they call me.
actually debated getting my bike out this week too, but it needs a tune-up and some air in the tires, and then I talked myself out of it because I'm not riding it to San Francisco. I'm like 5 to 10 miles. Like I'll start at a couple of miles and work my way up. Like I was doing 10, 12, something like that last year, 2 years, whenever that was. Yeah.
I can help you with your bike. If you want me to help you, I will help you. I can change the tire and everything.
Oh, you're
I
fancy.
can do that.
Yeah, I think it just needs air. I just haven't gotten to it. Yeah.
Next, cool in school. What is something awesome going on with your classroom, your kids?
So this time, my Cool in School is not just an app to throw at you.
Okay.
My 6th grade Avid kids, we read an article and did a whole Mark and the Text and Socratic seminar on a study that was done called Broken Windows. And basically the gist of Broken Windows, I don't think I've talked about this, but the gist of Broken Windows is they took a car in good shape, whatever, and dropped it into a really tough neighborhood. This was like in the 70s. Dropped it into a really tough neighborhood where everything, the buildings weren't in great shape and the street wasn't cleaned up or whatever. Within like 2 hours, the car was on blocks. Then later, they took basically the same car and dropped it in a really affluent neighborhood. And the car sat there for like 2 weeks without being touched. And then the people who left it went in and they broke the windows out of the car. And within hours, the car had been stripped in the good neighborhood.
Wow.
And so it was this thing saying like, you are less likely to mess with something if everything around it is nice. If it's already a little beat up, you're okay making it more beat up, but you don't want to be the one that hits first, basically. And so then I had my kids all kind of survey each other and come up with what do they think are the 5 or 6 biggest problems at our school.
Mm-hmm.
And they came up with littering, vandalism, violence, no fun in the school day, gossip and rumors, and bullying was with one of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then our school reputation in the community and the district. And they said those are the 6 things they really want to work on. And so they each came up with this whole presentation of what the problem is and some potential fixes, and then they presented it to our principal. He got a big kick out of it, but then it kind of has died there for we've got a temporary principal right now, like an acting principal, and so there's only so much whatever. But right now the kids are trying to get one thing. They're writing proposals and making flyers to get one thing done for each committee. And so like the littering committee is putting together a proposal to get 6 new garbage cans bought for the middle school side. And the bullying and violence or whatever it is, they're putting together a proposal to start an anti-bullying club. And there's kids that want to get like a peace corner and like bracelets that say silence the violence and different, like fairly simple, like they're not asking for the moon and whatever, but they are so excited and they're working really hard. And the idea that these 11 and 12-year-olds could could make impacts on the
Mhm.
school that they go to as sixth graders. Like they're the babies of middle school, and they're trying to kind of change the world for better. And
I
I'm just
like it.
couldn't be more excited about the work they're doing.
That's awesome. I
Yeah.
know. I remember when you were finishing up the first part of that project and having the principal go in, and that was really exciting.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that y'all are staying the course.
Yeah.
Because it's a cool thing.
I think it's gonna be a 3-year thing.
Yeah.
We're gonna do it for a couple of years. Yeah.
So I'm kind of torn about my cool in school. I feel like I've done a lot of behavior management stuff, which is what I have written here, but I'm actually going to flip it. So since you didn't do a tech thing, I'm going to do a tech thing.
Okay.
And it's just a really like simple thing. Anyone that knows me knows that I love, can you fill in the blank?
Pandacorns.
Yes. What else?
Rainbows.
Pandacorns and rainbows, and that's it.
That's
all
it.
I love.
Yeah.
Nothing else.
Yeah. And
Just
her
kids.
wife.
Yeah. And my wife.
Yeah.
Because she's a pandacorn rainbow.
Yeah.
What I love is ChatGPT.
Oh, I was gonna say singing next.
Oh yeah, I do like. Oh,
yeah.
That's my original.
I love it.
So on ChatGPT, one of the things that I really like to do, I keep my phone like up in my class, not because I'm scrolling TikTok, but I keep it like up on a stand. And if I need to come up with something really quick, I have ChatGPT to do that. And it's really useful for my newcomers when we do like a word of the day. And so one of the things we do is I'll say, shoot me out a whole bunch of homophones, shoot me out a huge list. And so then it'll shoot me out a huge list of homophones. I'll say to we've been doing this project in Avid, shoot me out a list of questions that I could wrap this lesson up with. So it's just kind of that, like, I almost want to say either like filler or those on the spot moments that you have as a teacher where you're like, what do I do? I don't know what to do. Just using ChatGPT, I think in that moment has just made all the difference in my teaching. It's a nice little tool.
I am a fan of ChatGPT, not to your extent. I haven't gotten that involved, but even today, I had 2 instructional coaches come to my class to do an observation and then to talk and whatever, and they were there for a couple hours. And while they were there, I had thrown this problem. Like I had this thing that I wanted to do for this standard to get the kids moving and get outside and whatever, but even I knew that it was going to fall apart, and I hadn't figured out the right way to do it. And so I had told them and said, so like bounce it around in your brain and whatever. And one of the things that one of them did was typed it into ChatGPT, and it came up with a list of like 20 different activities you could do. And we didn't end up going with any of those, but like just ask it a way to teach, like give it a standard and say, I want to teach this standard and I want the kids to move. And
give me like this. And I know there's so many other like AI tools that you can use that have been specifically made for education, like there's the lesson planning one
and school something.
But I don't know. It's just that ChatGPT is the one-stop shop for all of that. Like this morning, I was even using it to refine my math lesson on positive and negative numbers and come up with questions that had really simple language that my newcomers could understand, but also plug in these more complex vocabulary words with like some front loading. And so I had it refine it 4 times until it came up with like the perfect set of questions. And so I didn't have to type out 20 questions, right? ChatGPT did it for me.
Yeah.
So this program is not sponsored by ChatGPT This podcast program. This podcast is not sponsored by ChatGPT, but I tell you, ChatGPT, if you're out there listening, I would take you in as a sponsor. I would. You would be accepted. So last is our what's going good in the classroom.
Mine is kind of what I just had. I also have been part of my big kind of redesign of math at the school, has been starting to go through the curriculum now and dive in. Like I'm trying to build the Bible for teaching middle school math. And so, is diving into the lessons and trying to figure out where we can put in some cooperative strategies and where you can put in Kagan strategies and turn and talks and movement and things like that. And so I've just started doing that into those. And then ideally, eventually, we will have for every lesson in the curriculum, here's like on slide 1, do a turn and talk, shoulder partner A does this. Then on slide 3, it's everybody stands up, and when you've heard your answer, then you can sit. And that kind of like trying to build some movement and academic conversation, academic discourse and stuff like that into the actual lessons has been exciting. Like it's finally to the point where this plan is like getting into kind of minutia sort of things. And it's like, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, wow.
I haven't done one of those lessons yet that we're coming up on state testing. So it's been a bunch of review and remember when we did this. Oh, you don't remember anything about me teaching it to you?
Crickets.
Yeah.
Crickets. I know I have a cricket sound.
Oh,
Let's find it.
let's just press buttons.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's students whenever you say, do you remember when we...
Yeah. So that's coming up next week. Anyways, I'm excited about kind of changing the level of academic discourse that's happening in some of the classes.
That's cool. And my happy place was I took my students, my ELD students, I took them on a field trip to, I was just talking about a field trip last time, but I took them on a field trip. I forget the name of the thing, but
maybe if you spent more time in the classroom, you would remember.
No, maybe
If you weren't just doing field trips every
field
single day.
trips you get a field trip. I'm Oprah with field trips.
Yeah.
But a cooking class for my newcomers, and
wasn't it like a farm to fork?
Yeah, it was kind of
something like that.
Yeah. It was at a school, but it's just really, seeing students, you knew which kids at home helped mom, dad, siblings cook, and you knew which ones it was the first time they had ever held a knife in their hands. Ever.
Are you not allowed to hold sharp things at all?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I already kind of knew, because you kind of know when in the classroom, like, who are your mama and papa bear students and who are your like la, 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 la. So I mean, it was just a really sweet field trip. And then again, the sweetest moments are sometimes those transitions in between. We were sitting out on the lawn and the kids were picking daisies and making daisy chains for each other, and like girls and boys had like the little daisy chains in their hair. I have really cute pictures I'll show you later, but yeah. So yeah, that's my
I do love the community that you
happy
built.
Place. That's what we got to
built in your classroom.
That's what we got to call it. Our happy place. Maybe. Okay, we'll work on it.
I'm not sure what just happened. Chandler just went to her happy place for a minute and with no explanation. So yeah.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
I love the community that you have built in your classroom. I've covered your class a couple times on my prep when you were out or doing other things, whatever. And you can the kids work whether there's an adult there or not. More importantly, largely, the kids treat each other with respect and kindness. They ask questions when they don't understand. They're not in there worried about like who's the cool kid and who's the tough kid, and like they're all just there to learn and be silly and have a good time, and that's nice to see.
I know. I think I have a thing where I cultivate silliness. I
sure.
cultivate the whimsy.
Yeah.
But it's funny you say that about being cool. Middle schoolers, though, they're that age where they do want to be cool because they are in my class and they are learning. They're not worried about being cool. But you know how that like hairstyle right now that's like poofs up and around is like in? Should I get that hairstyle? Put a comment in the chat. Should I get the poofy up hairstyle? But I saw a kid today like every second he had, he was taking his fingers and running it through the back of his hair, like trying to poof up the back.
Yeah.
So
You gotta look good.
yeah, it made me think, is this a hairstyle I need?
Yeah.
Can I look cool like that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we could try.
Although the hairstyle right now reminds me of Golden Girls, like that. That's what.
I've been watching Golden Girls at
Yeah.
night more. They're just that theme song, and not even the whole theme song. That just like, whatever, like the in between scenes. Oh, it just like it makes my heart happy.
Yeah.
Hearing the sound, I'm just like, oh my god, it's Golden Girls.
Thank you for being a friend.
It's so
I know,
good.
I love it.
And it's just like, talk about ahead of their time. Like, B. Arthur on Maude was calling out equal rights and LGBTQ community. And I mean, that was in the 70s. And then again with Golden Girls in the 80s. And
well, and in season 1, there's that scene that I love so much. It goes, Lebanese? Lesbian? I thought you said she was Lebanese. But then again, that's the whole like LGBTQ rights, like, yeah, speaking up for people. Yeah, which thank you, Golden Girls. Thank you all out there in the universe. Thank you for that.
I know all the Golden Girls have passed away.
I know.
It's kind of sad.
It's very sad.
Yeah.
But yeah, still watch them in reruns. I'm glad we still get to keep them.
Yeah.
And game shows.
Also, I believe I'm now older than some of the Golden Girls were when they were recording the show.
Maybe. Oh,
that's super exciting.
That is exciting.
Yeah.
Woohoo!
I'm gonna give me a permed wig.
Yeah.
A permed blue wig.
Yeah, there you go. And then you'll look like all the middle school boys right now.
That's true.
Yeah, because that's the hairstyle, Golden Girls.
Let me get an Edgar.
And with that, it's time for us to get started and into the nitty-gritty of today.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Let's do it.
Okay, so one of the things we are hearing everywhere is teachers are leaving not just the classroom, but education in droves. And depending on who you talk to, there's lots of different reasons. And I think most of them are very valid. I have heard compensation. I have heard student behavior, expectations, the workload, your mental health, educational leadership. I mean, you name it. It's been thrown out as a reason that teachers are leaving education, and it's a problem.
It is. Well, and I think what really popped out to me were some of the statistics that you shared at the very beginning, especially the 44% of public schools have vacancy. Like right now at the school we're at, 1, 2, 3 vacancies.
Yeah.
I think.
Just in our middle school.
So that says.
Yeah.
That says, I mean, and so that 44%, like that's 1 or more. Schools.
Yeah.
So some
we would
schools
count
have,
as 1 school, not 3.
Yeah. So it would be interesting too to dive into that statistic more. But no matter what, that's a why.
Yeah.
You know, and one of the things that we were talking about, dear millions of listeners out there, before we started today, is that we really want to keep it positive. We don't want this to be where we're, again, angry old man. I feel like he is the mascot of our program, the angry old man shaking his stick at the sky.
Yeah.
We don't want to be complaining about this. We want to talk about, okay, so why, but what are the solutions? How can we get teachers to stay too?
Yeah, 100%. I absolutely want to validate all of the concerns that I've heard, both in person and online. I've a lot of people interact on TikTok or on Reddit or things like that. And there's been a lot of very respectful discourse back and forth about the reasons. And while I am not one to try to blame students, student behavior has increased. I believe student behavior has increased from pre-pandemic. Compensation is a real thing at every school district in the country. Everybody doesn't feel like they're getting paid enough. The shortages and the expectation, I think, are what hits me. is that the fact that we're short teachers, I'm not going to get a prep probably this week.
Mm-hmm.
And that's whatever. I mean, they'll pay me $50 or whatever to cover the prep, but it then means I don't have that prep.
Well, and then some teachers, I came from a district where prep was not even covered. The expectation is a teacher's not there. You cover the class and then you just don't get that time.
Yeah. Well, and K-5 teachers aren't going to care about my argument that I'm not getting my prep because they don't get one every day. And I feel you and fight for it, and whatever I can do to support that, let me know.
I'm all about you having a prep every day too. That's part of the reason that I left the self-contained environment is that was a plus for me. Like, oh, you mean every day I have time that I can prepare?
Yeah. And so because of that, the things that I would normally do on my prep are now either before school or after school, which means the things that I would have normally done before school or after school, like it just is this kind of landslide into like, because of this, now this, and because of that, now that, whatever. And so it just, you don't have as much time. And I think the expectations on teachers have grown. We've talked about that with adding some of the things that have been expected to add in the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I think that gets into one of the things that I have on my list, maybe we can start with, is having a bigger village.
Yeah.
Like, and especially like mental health professionals, school psychologists, social workers. And there are ways that you can be creative, get interns so that you're not spending like huge amounts of money on salaries for these people. There are creative ways to do this where you can create that bigger village.
Yeah.
I'm flabbergasted why that's not being done more.
Well, money.
Well, if there's creative ways to do it though.
Yeah.
You need to get your internship hours like.
Well, you gotta have creative thinkers in decision-making jobs.
Mm-hmm. Because putting that on, I think that's a really big thing too, is that I am a trained teacher. I'm not a trained social worker.
Else.
And there's this whole pull for SEL, and I'm all about SEL. And if you look at a lot of the things I do in my AVID classroom and in my ELD classroom, I will sneak SEL in there, but I am not an SEL specialist.
Mm-hmm.
I am a ELD, AVID. Like, these are the things that I know how to do really well.
Yeah. And to be fair, I think there's a lot more SEL that isn't like designated. The fact that when me and you walk down the hall, we harass every kid we pass. Mm-hmm. That's SEL too. That's making the kids feel seen and joking around with them and a high five or waving across the campus. Like, all that is also SEL.
Right.
And I know SEL is like, you've got to have these cards and you're going to ask kids very personal questions. And then when everybody cries, you call the counselor. Like, that's what SEL is kind of sold as. But SEL is also just like, did you greet all your kids at the door? Like, did you say hi? Did you give somebody a high five? Did you ask them about their weekend? Do you know what's going on in their life? Do you know how excited? Do you know what chicken jockey means? So one of us knows chicken jockey and one of us doesn't. Yeah. Knowing what anime they watch.
I'm imagining a chicken a person riding a chicken.
So let me preface this with, I'm not the expert on this and I don't endorse.
No, he's the expert and he endorses.
I don't endorse the actions at all, but the new Minecraft movie came out and it actually looks pretty good.
Okay.
And there is a line that Jack Black says that is something about chicken jockey. Well, when that happens, the people in the movie theaters are going crazy and throwing popcorn all over and like destroying theaters, to the extent where someone snuck a live chicken in. And so when chicken jockey gets said in the movie, the whole theater just explodes.
And you just have to hold your chicken.
Apparently.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go see the movie.
Yeah.
Step 1,
get a chicken.
Wrestle the chicken.
Yeah.
Step 2, smuggle the chicken into the movie theater. Step
Yep.
3, hold the chicken and wait until until Jack Black says chicken jockey,
Yes.
and then I release the chicken.
Not even that. In the video I saw, you then the next step is you climb on the shoulders of your friend.
Okay, I
and
can
you
do that.
hold the chicken up like Mufasa holds up Simba.
Oh, I can do that.
That's what you have to do.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Yeah.
That's well, I see what I'm doing this weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. But knowing those kind of things, knowing what TikTok's like, what is the TikTok trend and things like that, and being able to give kids a hard time and whatever. And
well, and you don't have to. If it,
I was gonna
that's
say
not
you
your
don't have to
thing.
know all the things, but that's SEL also. Being able to have a conversation with a 12-year-old or a 16-year-old or a 7-year-old or whatever is SEL about things that like not about math or ELA or anything classroom related, but just what's cool in your life. Like that kind of thing.
Chicken
is
jockey
also,
now.
Yeah, chicken jockey.
That's all I'm going to be thinking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'll report back next time.
There's also chicken banana. Have you seen that one?
No, I'm so behind on everything.
Yeah, I know. You got to spend some more time on TikTok.
I know. I need to spend. I
got to spend less time on TikTok, and you spend more time on TikTok.
Well, it's funny because my kids today, my Avid students, were not ready for their presentations, and so I said, "How many of you spend 1 hour on TikTok?" And then 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. Hands are still in the air after 5 hours. I'm like, y'all need to go out in the sunshine.
Touch grass.
Yes, touch grass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whew. Anyway, so yeah, okay, chicken jockey and banana chicken.
And chicken banana.
Chicken banana. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I'll do my homework and report back.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
What's next on your list?
What's next on my list?
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the things that I really want to talk about are shorter school days with built-in time for prep. Remember, we lose the kids after lunchtime. I think that kids need time to be kids. I bet we have students on the other side of this. Yeah, Miss Chandler, yeah. But I think it should be lunch, and then I know that that parents' lives are built around like, okay, school doesn't get out until then. If I don't have childcare, I could maybe do after school program. So we build up the after school programs maybe more if we need to. But we need actual time to look at data and to actually create lessons. And yes, I come in an hour early, hour and a half early, and I do all that. But imagine if that was a contractual thing, and I could do that with my ELD partners, with grade level partners. Imagine all the stuff we could do if we had more time to collaborate and work together. And the things like, I just pop into your classroom during 6 periods sometime and go, look at this, look at this amazing thing. Don't you like it? What can I do to make it better? Wouldn't it be great if that wasn't in a classroom with, kids that you're trying to teach right then? I just feel like we're trying to cram all this information in students' head and keep them in school and do all this stuff. It's like, I'm quality over quantity. So that's one of the things I think that we should do to get teachers to stay.
So I like that idea. What if I throw a couple of ideas that don't require any shift in parenting?
Okay, I'm all ears.
Okay, so the first thing that I have...
chicken banana.
The first thing I have is, and it's something my AVID class is also working on, is keep the day the exact same length. Right now, we have 3-minute passing periods. Mm-hmm. What if those passing periods were 10 minutes, 15 minutes? Who cares? Passing period minutes still count as instructional minutes, so it doesn't affect any of that. What if we let kids be kids once an hour? Mm-hmm. And I actually had time to go to the restroom, or to transition between teaching 8th grade and then 6th grade and then 8th grade and then 6th grade and then AVID, and had time to set up my class or think about what the different manipulatives are, or just breathe for half a second before kids are back in my face or something like that. I think that's option one.
I like that.
The second thing I would say, not necessarily another option, but some of that stuff you were talking about is site-based, because there are schools in our district that that we have minimum days on Wednesdays where teachers have meetings, and then and because they are bigger middle schools than what we have, they have an 8th grade team that can meet together.
Mhm.
And they do that. They do exactly what you're talking about.
Wow.
Or the 6th grade team, or the English team, or the math team, or whatever it is. And then they have pull-out data days where the entire day, like the first half of the day,
Mhm.
is we're going to have the 8th grade team or the math team or whatever it is. You're going to look at this data. We're going to figure out all whatever. And then the second half of the day is plan and observe.
Yeah.
That's exactly what, like, you would need those regularly, but man, it was one of the things I was thinking about even today talking to the coaches was because we are as isolated as we are, the way our district is set up, like I'm the only 8th grade math teacher on our school site. And if I don't have a plan for 8th grade math that day, there's no backup.
Mm-hmm.
And having somebody else to just sit and say, here's what I want to do. What's a better way to do this?
Yeah.
Was so nice. And I use the coaches all the time, routinely. Yeah. And so then option 3-ish, I guess, is I have seen variations of this at different schools where it is either 4 regular days and then the 5th day is done different, or it is that the first half of the day, until lunch is whatever it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then after lunch is you go where you need to go. And this week, the math team is unavailable because they're going to be meeting. So like on Monday, in this 2 hours or whatever at the end of the day, you can go to this list of classes and get support. You can do small group. You can do whatever.
I like that one the best.
And the math team is going to meet. And then the following Monday, the 6th grade team is going to meet, or whatever it is. And then you're actually getting time where the kids are in school, theoretically working on what they need to work on to get more support.
Yeah, I think do that along with option 1. I've always been one of the first schools I worked at. One of the things that they said was an important part of their school philosophy was fun and play. We don't do fun and play enough anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, to the point, if an administrator were in my class and I were doing something fun, I feel like I would bristle because, oh no, we're having fun. Like, this isn't like,
Yeah.
Just so you know, we did all this other learning before you came. There was so much learning, but we have to remember kids need to be able to be kids.
I think that's one of the things I've gotten better at as I get a little more veteran in my career is knowing that if somebody comes in and I have 4 kids playing the Switch in the back of the room, I don't have to explain anything to them. Like, we worked our butts off for 45 minutes. If these kids want to just be kids for a couple of minutes, I'm going to let them do that.
Yeah.
Because then they get to just be kids. Also, they're going to buy into me a little bit more because I'm going to meet them in the middle. And we are not going to go head down 57 minutes of whatever. Like, give me a solid 40 minutes, 45 minutes, whatever. And if the last 10 minutes you want to play cool math games, I don't care. Like, as long as we get the objective for that lesson.
Exactly.
And if somebody else sees it, I would love for somebody to come in and say, how come that kid is playing Snake on his computer? And for the kid to say, we finished the work, I can explain how to solve a 2-step equation, like whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, and as like we're talking about this, I feel like no matter what, school needs to look different. The format is not formatting.
Yeah.
It's not, it doesn't work for kids. It doesn't work for teachers. And I think that's part of the reason that teachers run is because if there is that burnout that happens when, because there are a lot of expectations, which I don't mind working hard. I don't mind a lot of work, but give me the time to do something that's of quality and let the kids play.
Yeah. I think also coming up with, I don't mind working hard. I'm all for it. But if I'm burning myself out and somebody else refuses to even run their own classroom, it's extra on me.
Mm-hmm.
And so it would be nice, and this is going to sound like blasphemy, but it would be nice if we'd stop fighting for the bare minimum. I want better for me. I want better for my classroom, and I want better for my kids.
I agree. Well, and yeah, I work, and again, I respect that, like, some people have families, some people have situations, but coming in when the bell rings and leaving at 2:40, 2:45, whenever the contract ends every day, it's just not possible to get it's.
Yeah, and you may be doing work like, my issue is the Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 2:30 or whatever it is, and that's it.
Yeah, there's no.
I don't care where you do the work, because I leave early sometimes. If I'm not coaching and don't have meetings after school, I'm gone.
Me too.
Because I don't get that very often. But then I go home and work at home. Like, I do work at home and things like that, and I'm in at 6:30, and I'm usually leaving. Like, don't model your day after me. But there's a happy medium between the hours that we put in and the hours that some people put in.
Yeah, and I really think it's about raising the expectations for teachers and holding teachers accountable.
Yeah.
And I will agree that, like you were saying before, yes, student behaviors have exploded. Yes, that's happened, but I don't think that fixing students' behaviors is like what is going to be the thing that saves education.
Right. And I 100% agree with you. I would love to raise the expectation for teachers. And I'm sure any teachers that are listening to this are screaming and yelling and throwing things at me. But I don't want to just raise the expectation for teachers, because the blame is not on teachers for teachers leaving the field. The blame for me is largely on the system. And so if my expectations are going to rise, if my expectations are going to rise, then
roll the R.
If the expectations are going to rise, then
you forgot the silent cue.
Oh no, it was in there.
Oh, okay.
You couldn't hear it because it was silent.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Then I need some system things to change too, because the system right now is not sustainable. And I don't just mean pay me more to do what I'm doing right now, but we need to look at the bell schedule. We need to look at, is 5 days the best way to do this? Is everyone's in the same grade level at the same time if they're the same age? Is there, like, what is it that we can actually change that isn't blaming a person or saying kids need to just get their lives together? What can we actually change so that when you raise my expectations, it's worth it? That's what I think we need to figure out.
Say that again.
So I'm all for raising the expectations of teachers, even contractually. I'm there. If we are going to do that, we also need to be able to say, and here's what's going to change in the systems.
Yes. Okay.
We are going to change induction or BITSA and make it relevant.
That was on my list.
It's on every list I could find. Mm-hmm. We're going to set up teachers with mentors. We're going to, whatever it is, we're going to find time for teachers to plan and communicate with each other and collaborate and things like that, and make those a priority that can't be canceled. Meetings, if they can be an email, will be an email. If you're going to hold a meeting that could have been an email, instead, it's now a PLC where we're actually going to sit and talk data. Mm-hmm. We need, all of that needs to be laid out exactly. We need to maybe talk to the teachers in your district and see why they're leaving in droves, and then start making changes there. Maybe, and I'm not just referencing our district office or whatever. Bloat is the word that comes to mind, because it was something that was used in what I read about the amount of money that was spent for out of the classroom people 10 years ago versus the money that is spent for out of the classroom people now, and it's an exorbitant percentage that has increased.
Put the silent Q in there.
Yeah, but and why do we keep coming up with new jobs for people who aren't in the classroom, who are then going to tell the people in the classroom, like, if we buy another program for $200,000 when all the teachers say that it doesn't work, my brain's going to explode.
Nothing I like more than a brand new program that makes no sense to me, and I have no idea how it's beneficial to my students, only to be trained and find out it's not beneficial to my students, but I have to use it.
Yeah.
I need some more of those.
Yeah.
And I need people to come and talk at me about it.
Yeah.
Ad infinitum.
Yeah.
Yeah. She said sarcastically.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Like, we do have a lot of people that are outside the classroom looking at who can we bring back in.
Yeah.
And if you're sitting all comfy cozy in an office shooting out emails, how can you get into the classroom more? And if you say, like, well, I have a job description that says I can't go in the classroom, well, how can we change those kind of job descriptions to get those people back in too? Because why is that a thing? I tell you, if I did leave the classroom for a job that was at a district office or whatever, I would look for something that still allowed me to go in and be with the kids. Like, yeah, maybe I'm doing this other stuff, but I'd still want to get back there.
I also would be perfectly fine if you said anyone who leaves the classroom once every 3 months, once every 6 months, once every school year, whatever, you have to start to finish take over a class for a week or for 2 weeks or whatever. Mm-hmm. And
we need subs. You're the sub.
But not even a sub. I'm not going to write.
No, I know, but I'm just, you
have to come in and you have to use the curriculum, write the lesson plan or whatever. I don't write lesson plans, but use the curriculum, figure out what your lesson is going to be, manage the classroom while you're doing it, answer the phones while you're in there, respond to emails, do my job, and I'll go whatever. Use it in one of those long-term sub positions.
It's kind of genius, because you could also say that is another solution to how to give, because I'm always thinking about how can we give more teachers time to collaborate and to have that time to be creative. And that's another way to create time for that.
Absolutely. I also would be okay with, if you're going to take over my class for a week, I get a couple of days to collaborate with different people. Make me be the acting principal that day. Mm-hmm. And I got to deal with all those same things. And yes, I don't have that credential. I'm not whatever. So I'm going to have support for that. But like, I need to understand that your job is difficult too. Mm-hmm. And by no means am I saying that everyone outside of the classroom just has a cush job and it's easy and I could do it without thinking. Like, nothing but respect to everybody. I'm not looking to insult anybody or anybody's work ethic or any of that. But I think my parents were both teachers and then admin for a long time. And when I first started teaching, I would go talk to them, and my mom would say, I've forgotten what it was like to be especially a new teacher. And then eventually it's, you forget, you remember all the good things or all the really bad things, but you're not thinking about all the nitty gritty.
And the day to day.
Yeah. And so you're asking me to do a job, especially post-pandemic, that you may not have done in a long time, if ever, and it's changed. And how can you best support me doing that job, or if you don't remember how to do it?
Yeah, well, and I think that's the same that, don't want to get too political here, but the same that I think of when I think of senators that have had those positions for decades, that at one point were community organizers and really understood what it was like for the little man or for people in their community, but now they don't know because they haven't lived in that community for decades.
Yeah.
so it's the same problem, and I think I think that's a solution.
We need term limits in education.
Term limits in education. I'm gonna say it. Term limits in education.
Yeah.
Term, but I think your idea of just like going in for a week, just so that they remember, like, oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
Well, and what's behavior like when you can't suspend a kid?
Yeah.
Like when I'm going to send you home to your mom is not an answer.
Mm-hmm.
Because I get it, but I have been with admin that I haven't worked with in a long time or whatever, and I don't even think are in the field still anymore, have said, well, like this same behavior that was happening in the classrooms and no consequence was being given, and then the kid did that to the admin and the admin suspended him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh, so what does behavior management look like if you don't have suspend a kid from school in your back pocket? Like where you have to, no, we want them to stay in the classroom. Keep that kid in the classroom because that's what we're asked to do as much as possible, but also keep running that class and make the kids learn things.
Yeah, do everything.
Yeah.
Do everything, be everything. So I think solution 1, let's find some creative ways to get some more people. Solution 2, let's find again, it's that blow up the educational system and figure out how to restructure education so that it meets the needs of the students and it has fun and it has play and it meets the needs of the teachers who need time to collaborate. Let's talk about salary. Do you want to talk about salary?
Sure.
Or do you not want to talk about
No,
salary?
I'm going to make everybody mad.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Okay. Because I think that we might be on different sides of this. I think that I think it's a 6-figure job. Right? Once you become, here's what I'll argue, is that you should have the opportunity to become a master teacher. Talked about having, you and I have had conversations about how you can't promote in education. And that would be my way to say that you could promote. It would be an opportunity to promote where you become a master teacher, a mentor to other teachers. And part of that is also that helps give BITSA a makeover. And you could, I've even thought about too, I mean, this is getting into some other stuff, but having more teachers per classroom, but that's another conversation. But I do think teachers should be paid more. I know it's like that. It's teachers are leaving because, I mean, you got it on the paper here, better career opportunities. So yeah. Teachers are leaving because, I mean, I don't know about you, but I struggle. I still struggle. The salary that I make is not enough to make ends meet. I'm constantly like, okay, I'm going to use the credit card a little bit. Okay, I clean it up at the beginning of next month. But it's a real dance, and I shouldn't have to do that with how hard I work.
Yeah. How do I not get myself in trouble with everybody? I believe that teachers should be paid better. When you put it in relation to what other careers are paid for doing that. Mm-hmm. I think there needs to be, so if we're going to go there and we can blow up the educational system, I would piss off as many teachers as possible today. I would like to get rid of,
No, continue.
Okay.
Oh, there it is. I found it. Oh wait, is that blowing things up?
No,
Probably
that was like a spaceship.
No, but oh well, we haven't.
Okay. I think that you should not essentially be unfireable after 2 years as a teacher. I think teacher tenure, you get it way too fast. I'm a good teacher. I was not after 2 years. I was not good at this job. I was trying real hard and I was working really hard, but I wasn't good at this job in 2 years. And yet, at the end of my second year, I became almost unfireable. Mm-hmm. So if I got no better over the entire rest of my career, if you're 24 as a teacher, by 26, you are tenured. if you never leave your district for the next 45 years or so until you retire, you are almost unfireable.
Mm-hmm.
There's no job on the planet where you should be unfireable for 45
And
years.
I will say, I'll agree with that. Pay teachers 6-figure salaries, but if you're not doing a good job in the classroom, if you are consistently, if you're showing up like you're never on time, you're just teaching out of your asshole. Oh, beep.
Yeah, no words. The
There's
problem is
another word.
that'll never happen. It'll never happen in a unionized state.
I think
Because you would have to put all those things in writing
Mhm.
in a contract, and your union is just the union is never going to say all of those things have to happen for you. Like that, they're just not.
I'm gonna live in a sparkly world where I live,
Yes.
unicorns and rainbows.
You
and
live in a
unicorns.
sparkly world.
I believe that anything is possible. Never say never or always.
Yeah.
I know that changing the system and changing these kinds of things is a lot of work, but we're living in a really hard time right now, but I look at moments of brightness that have existed in our universe, and I know that if we have the right leadership, if we have the right voices, these things can happen. It just means that we all have to come together and agree. Like,
right.
And I know that's a lot of work, but that's what we need to get back to. We need to get back to all talking to one another. We need to call out and be like, hey man, you kind of lazy.
I mean, part of the other problem though is what I think is a good teacher and what you think a good teacher is may not be the same thing.
Yeah, but
and so who gets to set the rules on what a good teacher is?
When I was doing my principal stuff, my whatever that be a principal degree.
That's what it's called.
I have great names of things. That's what happens when you can't remember. But when I was getting my administrative credential and master's, one of the styles that I really liked of observation was observation by peers.
Mm-hmm.
So you have an administrator there, but you also have a team of peers. And then I get to pick somebody and the administrator gets to pick somebody. So it's a team of people that are evaluating me. And so I feel like it may not be the perfect solution, but I feel like that is a way I would like to be evaluated.
I like that.
Because then I have what you think about me, because I would pick you. But and then I have somebody maybe that doesn't know me that's in there watching me teach too. So I feel like you've got to do a balanced approach, because then you're going to get more balanced results.
Sure.
Of course, if I have a principal that thinks that I fart rainbows and daisies coming in to observe me, they're going to write, "Oh, Chandler farts rainbows and daisies. She's amazing. 4.
Yeah.
But fill in the blank with all the words that I forgot that I was going to say.
I like that idea. I think the system needs a rework, especially if you're going to potentially start tying money to it. And I know that's a hot button item right now with what some of the states are deciding to do now that they may have that power. But it's at the very least, it's an interesting idea.
It's the best idea that you've ever heard. That's what he just said. He said interesting. And just so you know, when he says interesting, he means best idea that he's ever heard. Thank you, Russell.
You're welcome. Nice. You're welcome. Okay, here's my question to you. And I've given you 0 time to think about this.
I'm ready.
Could you come up with, so we have a lot of pie in the sky ideas that we're going to make happen. Pie. We're going to blow up the system. We're going to completely redo the school day. We're going to change tenure and observations and how many people are working where and when kids are in grade levels and whatever. We're gonna design education from the ground up.
Mm-hmm.
For those of us who don't have the power to redesign education from the ground up, what are like the 3 things that are feasible fixes or changes or whatever that will kind of stem the tide of educators leaving en masse?
Well, you've got me thinking about pie right now. So,
Okay.
yeah, just so because you said pie in the sky. So I'm thinking about
Yeah.
cherry pie. That's delicious. So, what are the
It's
three
interesting that you
things-
went with cherry.
Yeah.
Pumpkin is what always comes to
Yeah.
mind. But lemon meringue
I
is the
hate
best.
pumpkin. I
It's,
hate
I think
it.
it's
I
scientific.
have really strong feelings against pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin's a pretty strong flavor,
Yeah. Ugh.
but I don't know if it's
I like it sauteed, cubed and sauteed. No other way.
pumpkin,
only
not
way.
pumpkin pie.
No pie. No pumpkin pie.
You don't want the pie
Yeah.
cubed and then sauteed? I don't know if I've ever had sauteed pumpkin.
It's good.
I believe
Nice
you.
and, yeah. Anyway, so first I would take your idea of giving the kids those breaks. Like this is in middle school land, and I would just give across the board more time for kids to play and be kids. I think that's the first thing, because if they have more time to play and be kids, then you fix some of the behavior issues in the classroom. 2, I would really have administrators look at those meetings that should be emails. District office, that's you too. Stop showing off your presentation skills. I'm really happy that you discovered Canva and you know all about how to make the fanciest presentation in town. That's great. If I can read it, if you're reading it at me, it should be an email. So let's fix that and have some like real PLC. Like that time that's dedicated to that, let's have that be real PLC. And 3, I would use, because I mean, I think it's just fresh in my brain. I'm thinking about what else we've talked about, because I have 4. I would say the observations. I would actually use that observation model, because, okay, maybe we're not moving anywhere towards tenure being it taking longer to get time to get tenure, but at least we're maybe having a team of people help. Every teacher has a team of people trying to help them be a better teacher. 1,
like
2,
that.
3. Those are my 3.
Like
What are your 3?
I'm going to try to pick some different ones, because I think you had some really good ideas that I would get on board with. My first,
One of them was your idea.
probably why I get on board with it. Yeah. Yeah. Do you have any other ideas that you'd like to take credit for, and then I can celebrate? My first one is I would like to see some different things happening in teacher prep programs and in an induction or BITSA or whatever it is in whatever district, that are a little more relevant and updated to the world we live in now, and not what school was like 40 years ago. And
that would be helpful.
yeah. The last thing a brand new teacher needs is a whole bunch of busy work, paperwork that they're never going to look at again, that isn't relevant to what they're doing.
I read mine every night. I wrote it in cursive. I read it every night.
You and your
Along with my
documents.
historical
Yeah.
documents.
Yeah. You are a party animal.
Woo!
You like that callback? I hope you listen to the other episodes.
Episode 2.
Yeah. So that would be one of the big things I would do, is like we got to be better at preparing our teachers, especially if we want to raise the bar. And then my second thing is, if we're going to support our new teachers, let's support our veteran teachers too. Let's get instructional coaches and admin and whoever else, and you have dedicated meeting times, whatever, once a month, once a whatever, where they're going to come to you and just say, what do you need? Like, if that question was asked more in education, I think we'd be in a better place. Everybody asked it. If you and I asked the kids that more, we'd be in a better place. If people out of the classroom ask the people in the classroom, what do you need? Like, what can I do to support you? I think we'd be in a better place. I think if everywhere we were asking other people what they need, how can I support you? What can I do for you? I think we'd be in a better place. And off the top of my head, we've changed the bell schedule now. So I'm gonna say, it kind of goes along with support, which has just been my theme, but training and PD that teachers ask for, and that is relevant to what they are doing in their classroom.
right here that we did not get to. Real PLC, androgyny. Adults want professional learning that they have a voice in choosing. I wrote that down. We have the same brain, just so y'all know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stop telling me what I need to be trained in. Come to me and say, how can I support you? What are you struggling with? What might help fix that? And let me tell you, I wish I had a way to get kids moving better. I wish I had a way to manage the behavior in my classroom. I wish I had a way to get kids outside. I wish I had kids. I wish the academic discourse was better in my classroom. I wish, whatever it is, ask the person who has to do the work.
Because we know
what they need.
We know what we need.
Yeah. Yeah. Or you don't, but at least you're being asked.
And I think when you're a newer teacher, I think that kind of like,
yeah, sometimes you don't know what you don't know.
yeah, but I think if you're giving actionable feedback and you see like, oh, these are the things that I need, then
yeah,
then you know, then you go, oh, okay, so I have this menu of options. I'm going to choose this.
Yeah. Stop paying for outside companies to tell us what we need inside the classroom when you have people that are inside the classroom.
Yeah.
Listen to your experts. Quit deciding for them.
Yes.
Like, what other field does that happen where people who aren't doing the job decide what to train the people who are doing the job on? I'm sure it happens in lots of fields. It just sounds crazy to me.
It does.
Like it's wild.
It does.
Yeah, it's chicken banana.
That's a really good way, I think, to wrap up our show today,
You
too.
like that?
With
Chicken
banana.
Banana.
Chicken banana. I know a song. Go peel banana, peel banana. Go bananas, go bananas. You peel it to the left, you peel it to the right, you peel it down the middle. Take a bite.
I need
Go
my
bananas.
own soundboard.
Go bananas.
Can I do like a gong?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna bring like a little noisemaker. I'm gonna find a way to have my own sound.
Yeah, I think
Sound
you could
effects.
also just say the sound and then I'll make it.
Oh.
So try it out.
Yeah, gong.
Gong.
That is the exact sound of a
I
gong.
know, you were like, is that Chandler or is that a gong?
Yeah, it was the
Yeah.
Gong Show. It's 1975 again.
Yep,
Yeah.
1975.
You see how relevant we're staying? Mm-hmm.
Staying relevant. Well, thank you all for tuning in. And then you need to do all the things that we need you to do, which are like.
Yep. Like what?
Subscribe.
Oh.
Follow.
Uh-huh.
Share. Tell everybody when you're in the checkout stand. Remember, that's your job. Everywhere you go, every store you go to, Nerducators.
Yeah. Put a
next
sticker
week.
on it.
Yeah. And until next week or
Whenever.
2 weeks from now,
Yeah.
stay nerdy.
100% stay nerdy.
Bye.
Bye.
From Hogwarts halls to a classroom call, a shield and a wand, yeah, we're bringing it all. One's got the stars, one's got the spells, teaching with passion, you know it so well.